Well, needless to say, it's around this baseball stadium. It's been a long off season. We're excited about getting back out on the field. Um, it's we've been working pretty hard since first day of class, and I've certainly liked what I've seen thus far from our players, from their talent ability, from their talent level, their ability, their work ethic. There's been a lot of encouraging things that's taken place the last 3 weeks, but we got a lot of work to do. Obviously, last year was a very disappointing season for us, and we're not going to harp on last year around the stadium much, but we're not going to forget about it either. We're going to work extremely hard to make sure that doesn't ever happen again, and we're looking forward to having a good and productive fall. I got a lot of new faces. I got a lot of young players. There's some talented kids out there that hasn't played a game in our uniform yet, and I'm anxious to see what they can do this fall when we put them out there in a scrimmage situation beginning on Friday. And we also have a lot of new faces on our pitching staff as well. Some junior college kids, some freshmen. I've loved what I've seen out of them in the bullpen setting, but it's a whole different deal when you're throwing to hitters, and we get to see what we have in that regard also this weekend and this fall. So our players have really had a sense of urgency since we've been back on campus, and it's certainly something that I've noticed and been able to pick up on. It's nothing I've done necessarily or our staff has done. I think our players are anxious to get back to work, and we're looking forward to having a productive fall, and hopefully we'll get a lot accomplished. We certainly have a lot of work to do, and we're anxious to get started.
Questions, please raise your hand. David.
Chad, when we last talked to you, you talked about how the draft could go a long way toward reshaping this roster for this season. How did you come out of that in terms of what you've got here?
Well, we lost some good players. We lost a couple of our best players last year in Kmart and Elliott Caldwell, Max Schrock, and Jack Weinkoop. So we lost some guys that did some good things over the course of their careers here. We had a number of guys that had a chance to be drafted very, very highly in the recruiting class. And we had a number of our guys in our recruiting class turned down some money to come to school. We lost a couple guys, but I like the way the draft I like the way we came out of the draft. So it could have been a lot worse. And, we had a number of guys that have been drafted before that turned down money, that wanted to be here. And I think they're going to make an impact, from the time, we crank it up, and there's, just speaking of the names of the guys that I know that had the ability to sign if they wanted to sign. LT Tolbert's an infielder that has some good ability, and he's chomping at the bit to play, and he certainly could have signed if he wanted to. Chris Cullen's a catcher that's very, very talented, that's going to be out this fall with an injury, but yet at the same point in time, I'm quite sure to you media guys, he'll remind you a lot of Grayson Griner when he steps out on the field, just from a physical appearance standpoint. And I certainly hope he's in that category from the way that he performs and plays. But he's a big, tall, lanky, athletic kid. Dom Thompson-Williams, an outfielder from Iowa Western Junior College, is also a kid that was drafted in the 17th round, a very athletic kid, and he wanted to get his degree and play baseball at South Carolina. So, and there's a number of others that had the option, to play professional baseball. Cody Morris is a kid that'll probably be out his freshman year. That was very, very highly thought of, one of the top right-handed pitchers in the country, and he had an unfortunate injury toward the end of his high school career. But he's with us, and if he'd have stayed healthy in his high school career, we might not. He might have been drafted so high we might not have gotten him. So, all in all, the draft was good to us, and I think these newcomers are going to have to make a big impact on our team.
You talked about that sense of urgency, but as you start getting into some of these fall games and some of the things like that, what are some of the things that you particularly want to focus on?
Well, there's a lot of things to see and to evaluate. There's a lot of roles. I love the athleticism of our outfielders. I look forward to watching those guys play. we could put 3 outfielders out there on the field that all run 6.60s or under, and that's equivalent for you guys. That's probably equivalent to a 4.4 40. So we're going to have some athleticism in the outfield. I'm very anxious to see our catchers behind the plate. I think that was an area that needed to be improved upon from last year, and I think it has a chance to be a strength of our team. Johnny Jones is a newcomer from a junior college down in Florida, and he's a really, really good left-handed hitter. Hunter Taylor's much improved, and as I mentioned, Chris Cullen has a lot of talent and a lot of ability. So interesting to see that battle kind of unfold. But I like the looks of our players. Some of our players have changed their bodies, worked really hard with Coach Anderson in the weight room. I think they're taking care of their bodies much better when they're away from the baseball stadium, maybe than they have done in the past. It's just I like the commitment level of where they are right now, and it's a long year. The journey's just now starting, but I can certainly sense a sense of urgency among our players, and there's a lot that we're going to have to see this fall. Pitching roles are going to have to develop. Will Crow probably won't be with us this year. We'll probably redshirt him due to his injury last year. Who's going to be a weekend starter? How are we going to set up our bullpen? All those things have to be determined as we go through the fall practice and even in January. But like I said, I do like our arm strength of our team. I like our ability level, and there's a number of guys that won't be with us this fall, so I won't know the whole dynamics of our team through the fall practice, but yet there's going to be a lot of opportunity for a lot of young guys to kind of cement their place as we go into January.
John, then Pete, then Rick in the back.
At what point last year did you recognize that you needed to go hit the junior college ranks harder than you usually do, and is that something that you kind of put into y'all's recruiting plan going forward?
Well, last year just wasn't unfolding the way I wanted it to unfold. We weren't playing as well as I wanted to play, and you have to be very careful in this league if you I don't know if starting 7 or 8 freshmen opening day is the right way to go about it and playing in the SEC. I think you have to have some experience, you have to have some age, you have to have some maturity. Can some of our freshmen excel? No question they can. But I didn't want the makeup of our team be totally freshman and sophomore. I wanted some older guys, some more mature guys, and I think we have that. Dom has been impressive in his workouts, and he's also, what I've been more impressed with him than anything is his leadership ability. He seems to he wants to be a big voice in this team, and a lot of times that's very rare for a newcomer. But that's sometimes what you get when you have maturity and you have some confidence and some toughness. And I think some of those guys that are coming from the junior college ranks have those characteristics.
Chad, you mentioned Will might not be with the team, would have to redshirt this year. What's the progress of his injury? And without him, without Jack, with Jack gone to the draft, what's your weekend rotation looking like?
Well, the thing that's scary is I sit here right now, I have 3 mid-90, power 90, power first round, second round arms, and Will Crow, Cody Morris, and Taylor Widener. Those 3 guys won't be with us this fall. 2 of those 3 won't be with us all year long. So that's a pretty good hit. And so I don't know. I don't know how Coley Bowers, a junior college kid, how he's going to throw. Colton Provey, another junior college pitcher, how he's going to throw. Adam Hill, a freshman that turned down a fair amount of money to come to school, who we're very, very high on. How's he going to adjust? Our sophomore is going to be much better and much improved. Clark Schmidt, and Murray and Reed Scott and Josh Reagan, all those guys got to improve, got to take the next step, got to continue to get better. But I think that they will, and they have. Widener, before his injury this summer, he was throwing the ball as well as he'd thrown it. I was ecstatic by how well he was throwing the ball in June and July. And I think he was taking that next step. Now, the injury set him back a little bit, but I think he'll be fresh and ready to go. And I expect big things from him. But it's a new team. Our expectations are very high, even though we have new players. And I told the guys yesterday, and I fully believe this, I expect nothing less to be among the nation's elite come the end of our season. And we certainly have the ability, the toughness, the mentality to to be there, to be one of the last teams standing at the end, and that's what I expect, and I think our players expect that as well.
Will's progress?
Will is he's on schedule, and he's in his rehab. He's actually throwing right now. And this, when I describe the word throwing, you probably say tossing. He's getting his arm back moving, but he's worked extremely hard. He's here as much as any player we have on our team with his rehabilitation, and him and Cody Morris have worked extremely hard side by side, and I expect him to be, cleared, ready to go, probably April, but I think that's too late in the year to burn a red shirt year, and I think it's the last thing that we're going to do is rush him back. And when he had the injury last year, I said I think it certainly is best for Will to redshirt this coming season and be ready to throw opening day in 2017 if he's our opening day guy, and that's what we're leaning toward doing.
Chad, you said you weren't going to talk much about last year with the team. Does that mean that you have to force yourself to push it to the back to help the team move forward?
Well, I've had some people tell me, hey, this is a new team in a new year. Forget about last year. I'm never going to forget about last year. I can assure you that. And it'll be something that'll be with me for a long period of time, and probably forever, the rest of my life. And not that it was a total disaster, but it was close. And that's not what we expect of our baseball program and our team here. And so I think our players, I'm not going to have to say a word to those guys. Those guys are smart enough to know. They came to South Carolina for a reason. Many of them committed when we were going to Omaha and we were competing for the national championship, and that was what they wanted to be a part of. And I think they're working hard to try to get this program back to that level. And I like what I've seen from their reaction. I think we're going to have some great leadership on this year's team. It's easy to say that right now in September, I get it. But sometimes you get a feel for some things, and in the way that you watch them work and the way that you watch them work on their own, and the conditioning drills, the weight room, that sort of thing. Thus far, and I know it's only been a month, they've kind of surpassed my expectations in regards to those things, which I can only take as a good sign.
You had quite a few guys have some pretty good summers in the various leagues. How important will that be come the fall and then beyond?
Well, it was important for a number of guys. I mean, Scalamaro had a really good summer. He needed to play. He didn't get a chance to play every day last year. He has a chance to be a big part of our team this year. And there were some other guys, that played. Mooney had a good, productive summer and played defense, played shortstop, swung a wood bat. He did some nice things. Reed Scott had a good, productive summer on the mound and got some innings in. Jared Williams played very, very well, and I love Jared Williams. He's as good a kid as we've had in this program in a long period of time. And I love the way that he goes to work every single day. But I think it was very, very good for our team to have some productive summers from an individual standpoint, because they come in here this fall with a lot more confidence, ready to go, thinking they belong, feeling they belong, and wanting to make an impact. And maybe sometimes a freshman will come in and just hoping to maybe squeak his way into a lineup and not necessarily not be an everyday guy. But I think that group of kids, our freshman class from a year ago, they think they need to be in the lineup every day for us to have a good team, and that's a big difference it's a big difference a year makes in regards to what they believe what should take place in regards to their role on this team. Last year they hoped to be a contributor. This year they know they're a contributor, and I think that's a big difference. And a lot of that confidence comes from a productive summer.
You talked about that leadership. Is it coming from the individuals you expected, or is it different individuals that are stepping up that maybe you have kind of stepped
Well, let's
up?
just see how the fall unfolds about the leadership. DC Arendis has been in this program a while, and he's had some success, and he's much more vocal than he's ever been here. I used to couldn't get him to say a word. Now sometimes I can't get him to be quiet. So he wants to go out with a bang, and our players respect the heck out of DC. Mooney's got some really good leadership abilities. I mentioned Dom, and I think our freshman at Destino's really, really been vocal, and that's a big change from a year ago. So that's been neat to see, and I think that bodes well for us. Madison Stokes is another one that's chomping at the bit to make a difference, and he had a productive summer, and I didn't mention him before. He had a pulled hamstring, and he's been impressive in the workout. So we're not going to have some familiar faces that played every day. A lot of the guys that's going to play every day this year are new, but as their coach, I feel good about their talent and their ability.
Chad, are there any specific things this fall you're looking for that'll kind of let you know that this program is back on track the way you want it to be?
I don't think you can ever tell and judge what kind of year you're going to have based on the fall. I think it'll give you an idea from an intangible standpoint. And honestly, that's what I'm going to look at closer than anything else. It's one thing to sit there and say, hey, we played great this fall. That doesn't guarantee you anything in the spring. But I think from a coaching standpoint, they stay out of trouble off the field. Are they taking care of their business? Are they being accountable to the baseball program and working their tails off? Are they in the weight room when they're not supposed to be? Are they in the batting cages on their own and not necessarily at coach's direction? Are they doing all those things the great teams that have been here have done in the past? That's what I'll gauge, and that's what I look forward to seeing this fall.
How do you replace Kyle Martin?
Well, we got a number of, I don't know if one thing about college athletics is great players move on. And South Carolina has been awfully good in baseball for a long period of time. And we got the same question, how do you replace Wingo? How do you replace Smoke? How do you replace Jackie Bradley? We got to continue to put some guys out there, and I'm sure some guys will step up and play well. I don't really know what I'm going to do at first base right now. That's another thing that I'm going to look at this fall. But there's a number of candidates over there that are chomping at the bit to show us that they can play. But Kyle was terrific, obviously, in the year that he had, and offensively, defensively, he really performed a year ago. We didn't have enough guys around him to help him, but we'll have a talented kid over there at first base. He just won't have the resume that Kyle Martin had from a year ago.
Any other questions? Oh, David? Yep.
Chad, we asked you so much about intangibles last season, and I don't want to say chemistry was wrong or anything like that, but did you just get a feel that the mix in that locker room maybe wasn't what it needed to be?
It's not what I was used to, and I'll take the responsibility for that. But again, we had good kids last year, and we had a number of good kids. And sometimes over the course of a long season or a difficult season, you face some adversity and you either handle it the right way or they handle it the wrong way. And last year as a group, we didn't handle the adversity. When adversity struck, we didn't handle it the right way. And we're going to handle it the right way going forward. I can promise you that.
Anything else for Coach Holbrook?
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.